I really wanted to thank all of the witnesses that have traveled so far to share their stories with us. We're so grateful for your time and for your energy and how much it means to hear your truth. So I just want to give thanks to you for coming. Thank you. Also just again wanted to acknowledge all of the people in the room and that are in the room that have made this tribunal happen. These are not easy things to organize. I think sometimes just herding the judges into one room for lunch was a little bit like herding cats. So I just want to say thank you for all your hard work, to all the different teams that are involved. Thank you so much for doing this. We wouldn't have the tribunals if we didn't have organizers that aren't us up here speaking in the room. So I wanted to say, in the case of Belo Sun gold mining in Brazil, we find this company and this country guilty of violating the rights of nature. In the case of Eclair Resources, heavy rare earth mining in Chile, we find the company and the country guilty of violating the rights of nature. When it comes to lithium mining and the cyanide spill in Argentina, we find the country and the companies guilty of violating the rights of nature. When it comes to the impacts of the Canadian mining industry, we find Canada and the nuclear industry, all of the different companies, guilty of violating the rights of nature. When it comes to Canada's mining in Ecuador and the 6 cases, and many more in Ecuador that are proposed, we find the companies and the country guilty of violating the rights of nature. When it comes to the Ecuador-Canada Free Trade Agreement, we want to acknowledge that this agreement violates the rights of nature. When it comes to Dundee precious minerals in Serbia, we find the company and the country in violation of the rights of nature. So I think what I wanted to also remind folks that we've heard what you've said. We will be releasing a summary tomorrow, of our findings, and also a press release as requested. We also are endorsing a letter of support for Jose Ronez, a farmer who is planting trees in food where the Belo Sun Mining Company intends to install the largest open pit mine in Brazil. Those are things that you can also sign into. We'd appreciate any shares or TikToks or any of those kinds of social medias that you all can share and help us spread the word, especially since we know PDAC, the Prospectors and Mining Association, is meeting here in Toronto very soon. I think in conclusion, being an Indigenous person in Canada, I really want to say it's time for land back. I also want to say there needs to be no more green colonizing. We need a just transition that is both just and led by us for us. And when I say us, I mean Indigenous people, the front lines and the grassroots. I think being an Indigenous person here in Canada, we have a responsibility to hold this government to task, not only for the violations that's done here in Canada, in terms of all the mining that exists here within our own domestic body, but also all over the globe. And I might reiterate that I consider Canada committing ecocide, and furthermore should be responsible for the remediation and repair of the damages in all of these cases, including the removal of these corporations from all of these countries. We know that Canada violates its own laws here within its own country in terms of Indigenous rights, and we know that it does it globally. And I think the thing that I was thinking about is that Canada needs to be the one responsible for pulling these mining corporations out of where they're mining. Because Canada is the one that ultimately has seeded and birthed all of these mining corporations and therefore is responsible for them. There should be no leniency. We should have a country that upholds human Indigenous rights as it likes to brag all over the globe, and therefore should put some action to the words that they're saying. I think the thing that I'm sitting with today is knowing that there is no such thing as sustainable or responsible mining. I think when I think about just transition, it should be just and not sacrifice anyone. You know, I really believe that we should be calling for a transformative justice process, one that includes all people. And I really hold in this moment the great loss that we feel of the land defenders that we know past, whether they were defending water or territory or their own communities from violations from these companies and these countries. It's an emotional moment because we've all been there. We know someone that we've lost, whether or not it was from military, whether or not it was from assassination, whether or not it was from cancer and pollution, or trauma and suicide, and all of the many social ills that exist in our communities. We know that colonization and resource extraction go hand in hand. They're like an intrinsic marriage. So we know also that we're 100% committed to undoing the damages that they have done in our territories. We're committed to upholding these lives that have been lost in this struggle to take down colonization and to take down these companies and these countries that don't respect Mother Earth. So I'm really grateful to be in a room full of people that believe in this tool, the rights of nature, and that believe that Mother Earth needs a voice. And I really want to thank all of you that stayed with us for the longevity of today, and just to be able to hear, to listen to these cases, because it's hard to listen about death, about genocide of the land. It's hard to hear about the water being impacted, but it's also really important for us to witness, right? And I know when we talked about Palestine, that was the ask, is to listen, to witness. So I'm really thankful for all of you that were here to witness this process with us and engage. And we hope to have a really great press release and do whatever we can to support these communities fighting back. And I'm so thankful that you all could be here with us. With that, I wanted to introduce Osprey, who's going to give us a nice summary. Really quickly, thank you.